Hi, I'm Michael Forbes. I'm 44 years old, single, and I'm on disability. I have neurofibromatosis type 1. Hopefully, for those of you watching these videos, you now know more about NF's physical symptoms and complications. I'm going to speak to NF's mental complications as applied to me. To me, these areas are rarely discussed, and like most people with NF, each case, if someone has a mental health issue, it's different. Doctors are often very quick to point out physical symptoms of NF and ignore the deeper ones, such as the ones I currently have. I have talked to people on the phone who are frightened by information they receive from doctors. As much as I can, I like to tell people that being scared is okay. Just watch out that it doesn't overtake your life, kind of like it has with me. Right now in my life, I'm going through a fair amount of pain and relating to NF in a new way. Yes, there are certainly other areas of my life where there's been a fair amount of mental health pain. NF's just one of them. To me, NF isn't a 3-day walk. It is a 365-day walk into an abyss of unknowns. Unknowns of what the tumors are going to do. Unknowns of whether I'm going to get cancer or not. Unknowns of how the learning disabilities associated with this disorder are now affecting me in life. Unknowns of whether the next doctor I see is going to have any knowledge of neurofibromatosis or not. Unknowns of whether my knee is going to hurt tomorrow or not. Unknowns. I look and act fairly normal, albeit I do have leg and knee complications that limit my walking, reaching, and kneeling. The rest of my disability hides in the form of severe depression, executive functioning, anger impulse control, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Basically, it's a huge mixture of one diagnosis. At times this is shameful and degrading. I have felt isolated, ignored, violated, and certainly discriminated against because of my mental health situation and NF in general. My financial security evaporated as I applied for and was twice denied Social Security disability, not to mention countless denials from America's health insurance companies. I live at home because I lack the financial resources to live independently, and the government along with society has been slow to act and help people with all types of disabilities and mental health issues achieve independence. I firmly believe that this would go a long ways towards treating symptoms. We as a nation are much better at treating aspects of physical issues and ignoring the mental health ones, especially when it comes to lifelong disorders such as neurofibromatosis. It is way past time for us to talk about these issues and for treatment options and adult psychological issues with NF and other disorders to accelerate. Perhaps part of the reason for ignoring this has to do with society in general. We often ignore or hide our mental pain. Instead, we want to paint a happy picture like shown on television ads where some enchanting woman struts around in her nightgown cheerfully saying how a new beauty cream makes her feel alive, or how body washes make men more appealing. I admit I'm clearly part of this. I don't like to talk about it. This is part of the reason why limited research, though, has been done on NF psychological issues. Indirectly, the government, some researchers, and similar institutions don't want to allocate dollars to it because of society's phobia in discussing mental health. Well, I'm no longer quiet in regards to this controversial topic because I'm living it and I hurt many days deeply. I don't wish for anyone to live through what I have. So let's go back to the beginning a little bit here. When I was in school, I was teased terribly because of my NF. I was called names, had towels whipped me in locker rooms, and more. It was bullying, pure and simple. I underwent operations at a young age and spent 6 months in a wheelchair. Back then, schools were not equipped to handle my needs, and I missed almost an entire year of school because of the operations. I now wonder, how did these operations affect me? when I was wheeled into an operating room filled with doctors, nurses, and anesthesiologists that I'd never met in my life, who are now going to open up my body and try to fix it. In addition, I also had to learn to deal with the fact that any operation is serious and that death may be a result of it. My parents were smart enough to discuss this with me, and I reflect back to my first half of life, and I now see how scared and frightened I was at age 11. Death is a serious topic to discuss with a kid that young who's going to be going in for an operation. Relationships have been far and few between, and while I take responsibility for my life in the now, I can't help but wonder how earlier in my life and the issues I had have impacted the man I am today, and why I'm not married. It's something I truly wish to have happen. As you can tell, enough is a huge burden to carry. All the unknowns I mentioned, all the pain from the past, and the fear of the future can make it that much more challenging to try and live in the future, or live in the present. See, I can't even say that half the time. As I continue my own personal work on neurofibromatosis, this disability is finally part of who I am. Only its symptoms need treatment, and I hope that more of you in the media will become advocates for those of us living with NF. We need you.